Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
All right, it's Coffee Ann here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us this morning. It is April 11th in the year 2024. I'm Joe Callahan. Here's Bob Lauder. Hello there, Bob.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Good to have you with us, Bob. Bob's got his suit on, which means he's got court later on today.
Absolutely right.
All right. Well, Bob's going to have to leave a little early so he can drive down there.
What were you doing on Monday afternoon? Were you out there staring at the sun with your black glasses?
No.
No?
I was, no. I told this, I didn't get the glasses. I said, well, I've seen an eclipse before. I'm like, oh, okay. But I was outside after 3 o'clock. Because I wanted to see it get dimmer, get darker. Mm-hmm. And it never happened.
A little bit.
I don't know how I missed it. But I was out from 3 to 3:30, and it never got dark.
Well, it was only a 93%.
Right.
So there was still sunshine coming through.
Right.
The shadows became more blurred, but it didn't really get dark like it did out in the west where the full eclipse path.
So no, I didn't look at it. I saw the videos on it, and I said, all right, that's pretty cool. But okay.
Okay.
It was nice, but I wasn't all agah about it. I know a lot of people just thrilled to see it, and that's pretty cool, especially the younger kids who've never seen one before.
Hey,
so that's something.
Take the day off. I mean, I closed down the office for the day.
Oh, you did?
My wife and I put chairs in the backyard. Our neighbors came over. We had Guinness. We looked at the sun. I mean, we were complete nerds.
Nobody hurt themselves?
I hope not. No,
well,
not
that's
that
good.
I know of. We had the darkened glasses.
It's funny because the web search engine Google, they were hit after started around 3 o'clock. People started Googling, my eyes hurt, and these are the people that stared at the sun without the glasses on, and they want to know why their eyes hurt.
They're lucky they didn't burn their retinas.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
All right.
Although there was an article in the paper that said that it was not unusual to have mild headache and to have some degree of eye sensation for a couple of hours afterwards for some people. Yeah.
Yeah, if it continues after that, then go see somebody about it. So, all right, the other cool thing that's happening actually today, every couple of years, the replica of the Mayflower that's in Plymouth Harbor goes to Connecticut to be worked on.
Okay.
I guess, hanging out in the water all that time, things start to deteriorate, and so they go and fix it. Today, there's a big crowd right now at the Cape Cod Canal because the ship is coming back. It's all fixed. So it's coming through the Cape Cod Canal on its way back to Plymouth, so it can be part of the summer tourist season.
What are we doing here?
I don't know. We should be at the Cape Cod Canal watching the Mayflower sail back.
You guys do remote broadcasting. You went down to the
Autumn
Fest.
I didn't know it was happening today till about an hour ago.
So, rats.
And I said, can't get down to the Cape in an hour. So
sure you can.
We decided not to do that. But it's foggy. I saw a picture that's foggy down there, but not foggy enough where you can't see the boat sailing on through.
Most of the people who appear on this program are foggy. We won't know any different.
And we're lucky, or they're lucky, because of the time of year it is, the sharks have not arrived yet for their summer vacation in the Cape Cod Canal. So there's no worry about sharks. So that's good.
That's good.
Every year you always hear there's a shark, usually a great white shark. They say they're not trapped, but the shark doesn't seem to know how to get out, and it's stuck in the Cape Cod Canal.
Well, that's only because they don't have other lawyers down there guiding them.
Follow the briefcase?
Yes. Yep.
All right. We can ask Bob some good lawyer questions. All right, we'll ask him this one because...
They're always the ones that completely stump me.
Well, no, this one, I didn't come up with this one. This is more of an opinion thing. Does it surprise you that RIPTA CEO Scott Avedisian is reportedly in talks with the agency's board to step down?
Well,
because of his recent allegations.
Right. Does it surprise me? I think that he'd probably be feeling that if the case goes to a trial, or
Still
if
might.
if he makes a plea bargain which includes his admission of guilt in any form, either a complete admission or under an Alford plea, that it would result in being a public outcry for him to leave his job, and he may feel that this is the more gracious way for him to do it. I don't know his age, but I imagine
He's my age. He's like 58 or 59.
Oh, okay. But I believe he's also an attorney, and so he's probably done well in creating a life plan, and he may feel this is more appropriate than
Good time to retire.
fighting this out. Yeah.
Okay. His lawyer is John Harwood. I don't know if you know him personally.
He used to. I don't know him personally.
Yeah.
I've seen him once or twice in court, and I believe he used to be the leader of the state Senate or the House of Representatives in the state. Yes.
Avedisian used to be the mayor of Warwick. So his lawyer Harwood is vehemently saying, because the two people that were involved in the accident are both saying, "Geez, Avedisian looked impaired, looked intoxicated," and Harwood is saying, "No, that's not the case at all."
Well, I think Harwood is taking a standard, strong defense
Yes.
that you usually do in any case at this point where you have an individual who's charged either with a felony or a misdemeanor. This is a misdemeanor. The maximum penalties are less than a $1,000 fine or less than a year in jail. But he's taking the position, we're not guilty, and you have to prove it on the part of the state.
Is it a?
And it'll
is
then
it
go
a,
to conference
Okay.
between the parties, see if they can work out something that's satisfactory to both of them. And if they can't, then it can go on to a trial.
Is it a misdemeanor? Because the accident it's alleged that he hit a car in the drive-through, and that car hit a third car. So it's a 3-car accident. Is it a misdemeanor?
I thought it was a misdemeanor. I'm not sure.
Okay, it's not a huge accident. It's not.
Right.
No one got hurt, and but scratched fenders, or maybe it was a little more deeper than that. But okay. I always thought, and I said it last week. I said, watch for Avedisian to come out and say, "I'm stepping down. Got to spend more time with the family." It's and like that. So he may still say that if he's in talks to step down.
I think that's if one is retiring, and not specifically Mr. Avedisian, but if one is retiring under these kind of circumstances, you usually come up with a reason that you try and portray as being beneficial to you and to the public. And no one really runs out and says, because I killed my wife with an axe, now I'm going to quit my job. You don't hear that very often.
No, because you're usually going to spend time in prison then, so you really need to step down from your current position. All right, so we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. If there's a special hearing of the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority Board, a special hearing scheduled for today to talk about should he step down, when should he step down, how is it announced, all that stuff is going to be figured out sometime today.
I would also think they might be discussing what would be a severance package
Money,
and things
money.
like that.
Yeah. The golden parachute, Bob.
Darn. Now, every time I hear about the golden parachute, I realize that when my wife has been talking about, I'll pack your parachute, it's not exactly the same.
Oh, I thought you were going to say yours was made out of lead.
Oh, definitely, man.
All right. The good news of the day is the principal at North Cumberland Middle School, one of my alma maters, was named Principal of the Year.
Fantastic.
Bethany Coughlin, who I think I actually know, but
Now, this person
but I'm not positive.
was able to survive your tutelage in the school and is now, I can understand why she's Principal of the Year.
Well, she
wasn't the
she
principal
wasn't the
back when you
principal
were there.
then.
Oh.
That man has passed away.
Oh, okay.
So, but the one there now is roughly my age. So I think we actually went to high school together. But
Fantastic.
but good for her. She's been running North Cumberland Middle School, the principal down there, for the last 10 years, and she was very blown away, is her exact words, that she won this award. So
I
congratulations
noticed you're
to
wearing
her.
your Idaho shirt.
Yes, I am. Yes.
What is
Go Boise State.
happening to the people in Idaho? They had the big murder, which there's apparently going to trial.
Oh, up at the
they've had
university, yeah.
Now they've had the young man who has planned an assault on various mosques. What is wrong with people out there?
It's it's funny. Both the murders that took place at the university and where this guy is in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, is basically in Canada. And so is the University of Idaho. Idaho's a funny looking state, skinny
Right.
at the top, fat at the bottom. This is all happens where it's skinny at the top. And that's the bizarre area of the state. It is where all the white supremacists are in that. Well, not all of them,
Okay.
but a majority of them. These are when I was there, and this goes back almost 40 years now. There was a grassroots campaign to try and create a 51st state. I don't know if I've told you this before. And they wanted to they were going to cut it along the state of Washington, Idaho, and Montana on a parallel line, horizontal line across the 3 states. And that was
Alright.
going to become the 51st state. They didn't have a name for it yet, but they wanted to make it whites only.
Wonderful.
And we're like,
What a
and
disastrous and evil
yes.
idea.
And I was out there when they were trying to push this through. Now I was down in the southern part of the state where the capital is, and even the people down there say, well, they're just nuts up there, and this is never going to happen. And obviously, it never did. It never went anywhere. But that's a majority of the white supremacists are in that area of the state, in all 3 states.
That plan is so evil.
It
that
is.
It's hard
Yeah.
to
It was hard to
understand
comprehend.
why people would develop that kind of
Yeah.
an idea.
But that group of people is still there, and that's what happened this past week, where the guy said he was going to attack and burn down and shoot and kill people in the mosques and things like that. So there's still that element of people. There's still that group of people. It's very sparsely populated up there, although the university is pretty populated right now. But when school's out, there's not much that happens up there.
Wow.
So it's not something in the drinking water. It's just where people gravitated to, of that thinking of where can we go to try to get away from all the other nationalities we don't like. And so they, instead of staying in the south, they went north, where it's very sparsely populated, a lot of forest up there, and not many people. And the people that are up there are mostly white and hunters and like that. Over all 3 states.
I have a hard time accepting why people feel so insecure in their own being that they have to portray themselves as being superior to other people along any kind of demographic lines that other people have no control over. It's just weird that you could be that insecure that you have to portray yourself as being superior.
Yep. It's their thinking that they're constantly getting the short end of the stick, and they look at the migrants coming over, saying they're just being handed everything, and
That's
they look
not true,
and
but
well, that's the way they look at it.
Okay.
And they look at the other minorities, and things are just handed to them all the time, and then they look at themselves. Well, what's being handed to me? Nothing, and that's their thinking, and so they don't like that they get nothing and everybody else is getting something. And so they band together with other people that think that way, and that's where the trouble starts. Because
That's
now
unfortunate.
you get 10 or 20 of them banded together, and they're all, oh, yeah, we're getting screwed. Yeah, we got to do something. And then, bad things happen. And it is too bad, and I don't know how to stop it or how to fight it.
I think the only way to try and fight it is to try and educate people into the benefits of acknowledging that all of us are here and all of us have some form of need, and some of us have an ability to respond to the need of others in a more beneficial way. And if that means that for people who have limited abilities to earn income, we help supplement their income, great. It's not that we're giving everything away to people. People have reasons for why they cannot earn income. They may be either disabled and require some kind of assistance through Social Security disability or supplemental security income or something along those lines.
I agree, and a lot of people bring it up. Oh, they have to be educated. The problem is they don't want to be educated.
Okay.
I believe this. I believe this group of people is holding me back. They're the problem. They're wrong. No matter what you tell me, I'm not going to believe you. So trying to educate me is not going to work.
I like the
I hate these people, and I'm always going to hate these people. It's just the way it is.
I like the sentence you had at the very start where you said, "You agree with me." Can I just cut that out and paste that onto anything we talk about?
We have recorded that, so did I actually say that?
Yeah, you did.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, with AI, I can take that out and just plug
Yes,
it in
you
everywhere.
certainly can, Bob.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, more of the Coffee and program coming your way. We ask you to please stick around.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up golumpki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
The Coffee and panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
Have you heard of Scott McGee with RE/MAX Properties? He's been selling real estate in Rhode Island and Massachusetts for the last 17 years, and you can see that he loves what he does. Scott, as well as his team, take pride in what they call the fair and honest team. No gimmicks. And no, they're not buying your house if it doesn't sell, etc. Just fair and honest real estate. Scott personally works with tons of sellers and buyers and specializes in residential properties as well as commercial. And he's always very fair and offers super competitive rates. Remember, this is probably the biggest move in dollars that you will ever spend or receive. You want to go with a trusted and experienced agent. Scott is fair, honest, and modest, always puts the clients first. And he also dealt with literally almost any situation. You really need to look at your real estate needs as a business. You want to pay and get the right money now so that you're not paying for it later. Trust me. So why not give Scott McGee a call at 401-639-2906. That's 401-639-2906.
I did pay attention in geology class. I have a good geology story to tell you then, now that you bring it up. But first, this segment of the Coffee and program is brought to you by the Blackstone Valley Call and Times.
Whether you own a restaurant or an auto repair shop, you need as many customers as you can get. Every business does. Don't limit yourself to one newspaper. Get the power of 2 daily newspapers for the price of 1. The Blackstone Valley's Call and Times deliver customers from all over the valley with just one phone call. Phone 767-8500 for twice the effectiveness over twice the area. The Call and the Times.
It's Coffee and on ON, AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Bob Lotter. We'll also be joined by Melissa Murray.
Good
Hello
morning.
there, Melissa. Sue Tesser McKenzie has not arrived, so we're moving right along. Here's my good geology story. Ready?
The audience has been waiting
I'm
through
sure
the
they're
commercial for this
riveted to this one. When I was in college, you got to take certain subjects to for requirements, and one of them you had to take when I went to Rhode Island College was a science. So I looked at my choices because science was not my major or anything like that, and so they had the usual biology, chemistry, physics, but all the sciences you take all required you had to have a lab as well. So it was 3 credits and then 1 credit for the lab. And I was, through high school, not good in biology, not good in chemistry. I really hated physics. I said, what's an easy science? Well, geology. Okay. Turned out to be difficult, by the way. Trying to figure out what's a rock and what's a mineral. It all looked the same to me. But anyway.
There's no easy science.
You're right. There is no easy science. And there was a lab with this, too. But anyway, this came down to the final exam. And what they did back then, I don't know if they still do it, Rhode Island College put out a final exam schedule. So your final exam might not be on the day you had class or at the same time. It might even be in a different room. All right.
Yeah.
So when I looked at the schedule, okay, it is in the same room. It was on a different day. But I read the schedule wrong somehow. And I'm sitting in my dorm room, still studying, ready to go. And when I finally took a look at the schedule of the exam, and I was already 45 minutes late.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like,
that's the stuff of nightmares
it is.
for me.
I'm like, oh my God. Got up, ran across campus, got to the room. Yep, there's all my classmates. They're all writing things down and going along. I'm like, oh boy. And so when I walked into the room, I couldn't see where the teacher was. And because he was in the back behind something. And I actually had to ask, is Professor so-and-so here? And he poked his head up. And so I walked back there. I said, I'm so sorry. I read it wrong. And I know I'm late. Can I still take it? And he was such a nice guy. Absolutely. Take as much time as you need.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So I sat down. I started. And the whole rest of the class finished. And they left. And I was the only one left. I'm still took the exam. But I was 45 minutes late for my final exam. I was shocked that I could
That
still
is
take it.
literally a repeating nightmare for me.
Oh, yeah.
I
Is
don't know
that
why.
late?
Like, I have two repeating nightmares. One is that I work at the old pizza place that I used to work at when I was in high school. And the other one is that I'm back in college and I realize the exam's already started and I'm trying to find where it is because
Yeah.
I'm late. That is so that's terror. The story you told is terrifying for me.
I mean, okay.
I
you
might
know,
have literally have nightmares about it
they can,
tonight.
they can see that you're 5 minutes late. You know, you ran
Yeah,
into
yeah.
traffic or something like that. But 45 minutes late, I thought he said no.
Right. Too late. Too bad.
It's too late. That's right.
Yeah.
You fool.
That I
But
mean,
I got
you're
through
lucky.
it okay. But what about taking like your LSATs, Bob? Do you have nightmares now today about not being able to take them or missing them or something like that?
No, I don't.
No?
I know
Okay.
that
Well, good for
that's
you.
frequently a recurring
Yeah.
dream for people, and also the one about being naked and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those don't come up as my dreams. When I remember dreams, they're usually weird, and parts of them don't seem to, in reality, mix together. But of course, in your dream, they do.
Yeah.
But I don't dream either of those things.
All right. I don't have them now, but this is back when I was a teenager. It's not the being naked in public.
Mm-hmm.
It's being in your underwear at school, and you're the only one, and you can't figure out why. And that seems to be more embarrassing.
No, I haven't had that dream
No,
either.
well, all right,
It's pretty common. Yeah.
I
think
would say
those
so.
kind of situations.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get Bob's opinion on this one.
Well, Melissa's here now. So
I
we
know.
can get-
We'll get hers too, but it's a law thing. And I asked Melissa this question a couple of days ago, and she says, I don't know how I feel about this.
Okay.
And so let's see if she's sorted her thoughts out yet. And it's the case in Michigan with the Crumbleys. I don't know if you know who they are.
I saw
All right.
that.
It's about the boy that went and shot up a high school north of Detroit. He's in prison for life.
Mm-hmm.
He pled guilty to it. Life in prison without the possibility of parole. But his parents went on trial
Yes.
for second-degree manslaughter, I think, but they were found guilty,
Mm-hmm.
and both parents get 10 to 15 years in prison, basically for not locking up the gun.
I don't think that was just the whole reason.
No,
I thought
what else
part
was
of the
there?
reason was that the father purchased the weapon for the child who was yet still a minor, and I think that was one of the elements
Okay.
as well. And then failing to secure the weapon. And
I remember that part.
as to whether or not it's justified, my opinion would be yes. I think that a parent has a responsibility when raising a child to try and make sure that the child grows up to be a safe and law-abiding human being. And in this case, apparently the child had exhibited some mental problems beforehand. The father goes out and helps the child or purchases the weapon for a child who's still a minor. You know, you're giving a gun to a 16-year-old kid.
That I didn't know. Yeah, that is absolutely horrible.
And then you fail to secure it. And it's not that difficult to secure a weapon.
Well, right.
There's
Get a locker for it,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's little locks for it.
Yeah.
So if you're that negligent, you have a child has problems, you're giving him a gun, I think that you're responsible for what the child may do. Yes.
Is it because the child has problems? Because there are hunters all the time that bring their kids hunting, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and they're carrying it. I mean, you could say it's their gun, or maybe it's just the family's gun. Is that the irresponsible part, that you've given the gun to a minor?
I would think that plays into it. What's the age bracket? A child reaches majority at the age of 18. If you allow a 16-year-old to carry a gun when you're in the woods and he drops the gun and someone is killed, how responsible are you? I think that'd be up for a jury.
yeah.
Suppose you gave a gun to a 4-year-old child and the child doesn't know what he's doing with it and injures somebody. Are you responsible then? The difference in age is something that I think a jury would have to determine.
So I
But
don't
in this
know,
case,
because I don't know how old, well, I'm going to say dads, how old dads are when they start taking their son, sorry to be sexist, but take their son hunting. Do,
No,
they,
it's true.
do they start at 12 or?
About that.
They do. Okay.
Yeah. My brothers went hunting with my dad around that age.
Okay.
Yep. But
Did they have their own gun?
I don't think so.
Okay, they just went to go watch dad?
No, they were shooting.
Oh, they were.
They were.
okay.
They
So
they
were
yeah. They
given
they.
something.
My brother shot a pheasant. I think it
Okay.
was. Yeah, I was appalled at the time.
Did he eat the pheasant? Or did he?
I think we probably did.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, I imagine that we probably ate anything.
All
That,
right.
Yeah.
So now the other question, Bob, is the length of the sentence for these people in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Is 10 to 15 years good? Is that,
I
do you
think
see
that was within the
or is it
guidelines.
too, I think it's a little too much.
I think it was within the guidelines that the state had established for people who were guilty of that type of crime. Do I think it's too much? I think I think it's appropriate because of the results of the negligence of these individuals. They had 4 children who were killed in the school.
And that's what
I
the
think
judge
that-
said.
I think that the parameters of what your negligence resulted in, if your negligence resulted in your child dropping the gun and inadvertently killing
Yeah,
somebody,
that's different.
That may be different from a child who runs amok and goes in and kills 4 of his classmates. I think it's appropriate.
No, I thought it was a little excessive. I thought 5 years would have been okay. Now, Melissa, you've had a couple of days to think about it because you didn't know.
Yeah,
how
I'm
you
still
thought about it.
I think it's a lot. I guess I'm
Yeah.
just surprised. But maybe this is what we need to start.
Wake up call.
Yeah,
All the
yeah.
fathers, yeah.
The thing that I find more difficult is that the 17-year-old was charged with life with no possibility of parole, and obviously they are mentally ill. They're not going to get any better in prison.
No.
So that I think I have a hard time processing.
Well, on that issue, if you're looking at prison as a form of help,
It's not a
forcing an
rehabilitative.
individual to be
Yeah.
rehabilitated.
No, that
But
doesn't
at the
happen.
same time, you have the alternate that prison is a protection to the rest of the public from the actions of somebody who has a problem, and if it was not in prison, might be out harming people in the future. I think that in that case, the life in prison without possibility of parole is probably justified. Do I think that if the child were not imprisoned but were put into a mental health facility, that they'd be able to recover and go on and someday be a productive individual? Apparently the court didn't think so.
Yeah.
When
Right.
John Hinckley shot President Reagan way back in the 1980s,
Right.
I believe that he was sentenced to being incarcerated with mental health. I think it was in a
He was
facility.
guilty by reason of insanity.
Right. And then later on, he was released because his mental condition had resolved itself to such that the courts and authorities thought that he was not going to be a danger to the public. But in this particular case, apparently they didn't feel that way.
Okay. Boy, it's a real wake-up call for parents to,
Oh yeah.
man, lock up if you got shotguns, lock them up.
But I would think that most parents would be responsible in that area and know that if you have a weapon, you either put it in a gun safe or you have a safety lock on it, and you don't just hand a gun to a 16 or 17-year-old child without any kind of control over it.
You would think so, but I know someone who is a very intelligent individual who has guns, who has children, who says, "Oh, no, I've taught my children not to touch them. They know they're not allowed," and doesn't lock up their guns. So, I mean,
It's scary.
it's not everybody that I don't think most people think that way. I think some people think, oh, it's just like that commercial that you say, well, my kid will never vape. They know that I'm, that vaping is bad. you think so, but you don't always know. So they're a child. You just lock it up. Like the Senate passed safe storage bill, right? So, and people were all, I mean, you want to have a gun, just lock it up.
I just wonder what things are like, because it's not a big hunting area around here, but if you go north, where a lot of hunting is done, do they lock up their guns?
Depends on the state.
In northern New England, yeah.
Depends on the state.
I don't see why it would be such a big deal to do it. A gun safe it's an initial expense, but then it's there for protection. The small locks that you can have put on revolvers or pistols or anything like that, and on rifles, they're not terribly expensive.
Yeah.
They are effective. And as Melissa was saying, the people who are thinking, oh, my children will never vape, most guys realize that when we were growing up, our parents probably told us, you don't look at pornography. Every guy who in my high school probably somewhere had secreted away pornography that they didn't want their mother to find. You're going to do it. You're going to try something, even if...
Or tried to smoke cigarettes in the woods or something.
yeah.
Right.
So the temptation of actually handling a weapon in the absence of your parents is probably pretty strong.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids are going to succumb to it and say, hey, let's try it.
They're not around.
Like, we're just going to hold the gun, and then,
don't
Dad
worry
will know,
about it.
and then, then something
So-
horrible happens.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program. More coming your way. Time for the forecast, which is brought to you by Juicy Juice. Today, cloudy skies. There is a chance of showers as well. High temperature will be near 59 degrees. Tonight, cloudy skies. Showers and thunderstorms are also possible. Some of the storms could produce some heavy rainfall. Low temperature around 54. South wind 7 to 15 miles per hour. Wind gusts as high as 30 miles per hour. Friday's weather, cloudy with showers and thunderstorms before noontime. Some of the storms could produce some heavy rainfall. High will be near 61. It'll be windy. South wind 18 to 23 miles per hour with wind gusts as high as 39 miles per hour. Friday night, partly cloudy, low around 47. Saturday, mostly cloudy, high near 55. Sunday, mostly sunny, and a high near 61. Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with the cloudy skies, we have 51 degrees. Juicy Juice is 100% juice, which means no sugar added and no artificial sweeteners. Just the full fruit flavor that your kids love. Find Juicy Juice at your favorite local grocery retailer. Information at juicyjuice.com. This segment of Coffee In sponsored by the Blackstone Valley Call-in Times.
Whether you own a restaurant or an auto repair shop, you need as many customers as you can get. Every business does. Don't limit yourself to one newspaper. Get the power of 2 daily newspapers for the price of 1. The Blackstone Valley's Call and Times deliver customers from all over the valley with just one phone call. Phone 767-8500 for twice the effectiveness over twice the area. The Call and the Times. You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate. Let's talk about some of the great entertainment at Chan's, 267 Main Street in Woonsocket. Tonight, Friday the 12th, Anthony Gomes plays at 8 o'clock, 40 at the door, as a matter of fact, at 2 nights of high-voltage rock and blues with the amazing Anthony Gomes. Because guess what? Tomorrow night on the 13th, Anthony Gomes again, 8 o'clock, same prices, $35 a seat, $40 at the door in the Four Seasons Banquet Room at Chan's. Reserve early for round 2 of the amazing Anthony Gomes as he rocks the house of Chan. Chan's Fine Oriental Dining, of course, don't forget all the great foods there too, but we like to talk about the entertainment. Takeout, 765-1900, delivery 762-1364. Chan's is at 267 Main Street in Woonsocket.
Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Murray and Bob Lauder. And Bob, time for first message from your law office, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. I'd like to return this morning to recent cases decided by the Rhode Island Supreme Court. The most recent case is that of Knudsen versus Dijon and involves the issue of a scenic view granted to landowners across real estate owned by another. The foundation of the dispute was 13 separate parcels of land originally owned by a single owner. Over the years, the ownership of the parcels had devolved to a number of different owners. And in 1989, one of the owners had negotiated agreement with several of the other owners which restricted the construction of structures or growth of vegetation which interfered with the view of the Sakonnet River enjoyed by some of the parties to the agreement. The agreement provided that in the event that any one of the signatories to the agreement acquired some of the remaining 13 parcels, the agreement would apply to those parcels as well, and identified the parcels for which the restrictions were to provide a benefit. The agreement failed to include as a beneficiary of the restrictions one of the parcels owned by the plaintiff. Over the years, the defendant, who had acquired ownership of one of the original 13 parcels, allowed his vegetation to grow to a height which interfered with the view of the river, and the plaintiff sued the defendant to compel the removal of the vegetation. The defendant defended the claim against the plaintiff and contended that since the agreement had been negotiated by the plaintiff and failed to identify the plaintiff's specific parcel of the original 13 as a beneficiary of the restrictions, the court should be bound to construe the agreement against the drafter of the agreement. The Supreme Court found in favor of the plaintiff, ruling that while a general rule concerning restrictive covenants is that they are to be construed strictly so as to favor an unrestricted use of property by others, they are not to be extended by implication, and if there's an ambiguity, it is to be ruled in favor of the unrestricted use. The rule of strict construction, however, will not be used to destroy the very purpose for which the restriction was established, and proper regard must be had for the intent of the parties. If you'd like to discuss this or other legal matters with me, please contact my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer. The Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob, thanks. Well, we got the press release yesterday, and Woonsocket City Councilor Brian Thompson is running for state senate. And Roger Pickard is not running for re-election.
Oh.
So, yeah, he announced his retirement at the beginning of the week.
Okay.
Will not seek re-election. Brian Thompson jumped right in and said, I will be running for that seat. So, the Woonsocket City Council is going to look very different after the election in November.
Yeah.
John Ward won't be on the council. He's running for mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Thompson is now going to be running for state senate.
Garrett Manzeri is running for
that's
state
official.
Representative. Oh, yes.
So Garrett's
Yep.
going to run for state rep. There's 3 open seats, basically, on the Woonsocket City Council, Bob, if you're interested.
No, thank you, but I'm glad you made the offer.
Well, it's there if you want it. Well, not really if you want it.
No, it
It's
has
there
to
if
be
you want
elected.
You still have
if you
to
want to
work
be elected for it. So,
Yeah.
and we're still waiting. More people may start to run. We heard yesterday there's more people in Cumberland that are thinking about running for Roger Pickard's seat. So,
It's an open seat.
Yeah.
And, when Senator Cody, in all honesty, I had been thinking about running against Cody, and everyone said, oh, he's an incumbent, he's strong. And I said,
Yeah.
well, he's been there for like 24, 25 years. And I had been the top vote getter on the Woonsocket City Council. So, chatter had been going around. And then when he had decided that he wasn't going to seek re-election, a bunch of people jumped in from both North Smithfield and Woonsocket. And that's what happens. People are saying, oh, if ever that seat comes open. You saw what happened when David Cicilline stepped aside. It was like
Yes.
26
All jumped in, yeah.
jungle primary. because everyone thinks, oh, if that seat ever comes open, then I'm going to run for it. So I think you will have kind of like a jungle primary for Democrats. I don't see that as a Republican seat, even though,
Okay.
East Woonsocket's a little more conservative than the rest of Woonsocket, but not so much so that I think they would vote Republican. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised if a bunch of people jump in. I had a primary. My primary opponent dropped out after the ballots were printed.
All right.
And then I had a 4-way race because everyone ran. I was the only Democrat, and everyone ran as an independent. So I had a 4-way race.
All right.
And there you go.
I like the phrase
So-
jungle primary. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, it can be crazy, right? Because you're just like, why can't. This is what Democrats do. Like, why can't we just get together and say,
They pick
who
one?
has the best shot, Meanwhile, the Republicans are like picking each other off, right?
Yeah.
But then we go and we say, okay,
All
we're
of
all
us.
going to run. We're all going to we're all going to run for president. We're all going to run for Congress. We're all going to run.
Bob, you're a Democrat. Why is it like that?
Why do we do this to ourselves?
I think it's an opportunity for the Democrats to get as many people to be considered and weed out to who the electorate feels is the best.
Is it a show of strength against the Republicans? See, there's so many of us running for this seat.
I
There's only
think
a
it
few
can
of
work
you.
to our
No.
disadvantage, though.
All right.
You
I
don't.
think it's because we have people who we're in Rhode Island, a larger party. We have more people involved, and people have various ideas that they think are important and want to bring it before the electorate.
How do you feel about ranked choice voting? Do you have any
if
feelings about
I
it?
understand ranked choice voting.
Just it's been an issue for the last few years.
Explain to me how it works, because I'm
Okay.
not really sure on that.
So say for example, the congressional race, and you have 12 candidates,
Right.
And it's a Democratic primary. So you go in and you say, okay, this is my number 1, this is my number 2, this is my number 3. They say to pick 3 out of the whatever, and then I go in and say, so my number 1 may not be the same as your number 1, but maybe my 2 or my 3 are the same as some of your choices, and then they tally them up, and the person who has the most votes wins.
This would be
That
only
way-
in primaries. This would
There'll
not be
be
in the
primaries.
general election.
I don't think it's a good idea in a general election. No.
No.
But in a primary, in that case, I think it would have been helpful, where people wouldn't be, where you're not having one person elected with 25% of the vote. I'm okay with it in a primary,
Okay.
but not in a general election. No.
No, absolutely not in a general election.
In a party primary, I think it could
Is it
work.
used now in the primaries?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, it might offer a final result for a candidate who may not have the extreme views that allowed the first place winner to prevail,
Right.
and get somebody
my
who had
thinking.
a more balanced views. Well, if the party is agreeable to it, and the party is the one who's going to be
They're not.
living with the results,
Some are and some are not. That's the
then
problem, right?
I
So
suppose I'd have to give more thought to that. Do some research.
just wondering.
All right. Well, Bob's going to get to court today, so we got to let him, figure in time for travel.
Thank you.
So another message for you, Bob, and then you can be on your way, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Attorney Bob Lauder. The second recent case decided by the Rhode Island Supreme Court, which I'd like to discuss with you this morning, involves interpretation of a property settlement agreement in divorce litigation and the entitlement of one party to the federal survivor benefits provided to the other party as a result of federal employment. The case is known as Rebeo versus Rebeo. Mr. and Mrs. Rebeo were married in Virginia in 1990 and lived there until 2002, when the plaintiff moved to Rhode Island, and by 2010 their marital relationship, for all practical purposes, had ended. In 2017, the parties filed claims and counterclaims for divorce. The husband had served in the United States military and thereafter worked as a federal employee and was thus entitled to the receipt of 2 federal pensions. During the divorce litigation, the parties entered into a property settlement agreement, which provided to the wife entitlement to 50% of the husband's retirement income, but which failed to make any reference to the survivorship benefits afforded by the husband's civilian federal employment, and which benefits would be paid upon the death of the husband. Following the entry of the final decree of divorce, the husband remarried. Thereafter, the former wife learned of the survivorship benefits and brought litigation to secure entitlement to those benefits. The husband rejected the claim. The Supreme Court ruled that because the agreement is ambiguous regarding whether the plaintiff is entitled to a share of any survivor benefits in the defendant's federal civilian pension, we must adopt the construction of the agreement as most equitable to the parties in the case. Notwithstanding the claims of the plaintiff, this agreement was A. negotiated over a period of 8 months, B. the parties had been separated for 15 years, C. the defendant's entire federal civilian pension had been earned during the period of separation, and D. the parties had attorneys who knew this information when drafting the agreement. Even if the plaintiff's argument that the provisions of a document is ambiguous, it should then be construed against the defendant, the parties presented agreements as a joint exhibit to the divorce. The court was satisfied that the denial of the claim of the plaintiff to entitlement in the survivor's benefits of the federal civilian pension of the defendant was the most equitable resolution of the controversy. If you'd like to discuss legal matters with me, please call my office for an appointment. My name is Bob Lauder. My telephone number is 762-4550. And the disclaimer: the Supreme Court of Rhode Island licenses all attorneys in the general practice of law. The court does not license or certify any attorney as an expert or specialist in any field of practice. Thank you.
All right, Bob. Well, best of luck in court today.
Thank you very much.
And
Hope
we'll
to see all
see
of
you next week.
Yes.
All right.
Good to have you here. Thank you.
Good to be here. Thanks.
More Coffee and coming up. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Kathleen LaValle at The Honey Shop. Check out our Facebook page at The Honey Shop RI, and there you'll see a whole list of our new classes and lots of fun things to do. You could join us for making limoncello, pizzas, pasta making, cheese making, so many fun things to do and learn.
Thanks, Kathy. Folks, if you love food, you'll love the Honey Shop, right behind the Dunkin' Donuts at Park Square in Woonsocket.
The third annual ON Radio's Senior Resource Fair will be happening on Saturday, April 20th from 9 a.m. to noontime. The fair will be held at the Woonsocket Elks Hall, 380 Social Street, Woonsocket. It's free admission to visit the over 20 vendors that will be in attendance. Some of the vendors in attendance will be Menard Lockature Funeral Home, Navigant Credit Union, Neighborhood Health Plan of Rhode Island, Saltitude Himalayan Salt Cave, St. Antoine Communities, and the Stearns McGee REMAX team. Come by and visit with Manny and Virginia Brandow and Gary Smith and the Do You Remember crew. We hope to see you at the third annual ON Radio's Senior Resource Fair, Saturday, April 20th at the Elks Hall on Social Street from 9 to noon.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
Coffee in on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan here with Melissa Murray. Bob Lauder had to toddle off to court.
Yes.
And do lawyer type stuff. So one of the other stories we had today, we brought up a little bit yesterday as well. Nothing much has changed, but it's just a bizarre story where that teenager from Burrillville that was found dead in Stowe, Massachusetts. It's too bad Bob couldn't stay because it's just weird when the police show up at this guy's house and he wouldn't let them in for 2 hours. And I don't know how they actually got in, but they gained access to the house, found the dead girl, and then arrested him on like bodily harm or something like that.
Right.
Assault or something, assault and battery or something like that.
yeah.
Now, an autopsy has to be done.
Of course.
Got to figure out how she died. So they say more charges may be coming.
Yeah, depending
But,
on what the autopsy finds.
yeah.
I mean, if you're not letting someone in, and then when you finally decide to let them in after 2 hours, and it's the police.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a deceased person in the house. Yeah, that's.
I wonder if
How old was the man?
20.
And-
She's 17. So they're
Yeah.
relatively close in age here.
Well,
Yet he's the adult and she's still a minor. But and
there's
I wonder,
that. There's that. Yeah.
I wonder if the police showed up and no, I'm not letting you in. Okay. So the police do whatever they do. We're gonna get a warrant,
Of course.
and
there are-
then we're coming in unless you want to just let us in. Nope. I'm gonna wait till you get a warrant. So you got to do whatever the process you got to
Sure.
do and get to a judge and like that. And
Sure.
so maybe it took 2 hours and they finally got there. Okay, now we're coming in.
Yeah. Now
And,
you're going to let us in, or we're gonna ram the door down.
The door's probably open. we're coming in, and if you don't let us in, now you're in real trouble. You get arrested for obstruction and like that. So they let them in. They find the girl. They can't figure out. It's not like she was shot or anything like that. They can't tell how she died right away.
Could have been
So-
drug induced. Could have
Could have
been anything, right?
I don't know if they saw bruising or anything right away. So, but they didn't say. But we'll find out after an autopsy's done. But either
and they
way,
won't say
it's
much because she's a
tragic.
minor, also. So they're going to be less. They're going to be the more secretive about the details.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Not the right word I was looking for, but
All right.
I'm only one cup
well,
of coffee in, so
Uh,
brain's still firing.
It's too bad Bob's isn't here. We got the good law stuff coming in.
Yeah.
In Oklahoma, laundry is being used as an excuse for why the man was speeding.
Laundry.
Laundry. Tulsa police say they stopped a driver yesterday on the Broken Arrow Expressway. He was going 107
Oh my god.
in a 65-mile-per-hour zone.
Yeah,
At least it was-
that's like that's felony speeding, right? I mean, there is such a thing depending on the state.
The driver said he and his friend, so he had more than one person in the car, were on their way to do laundry.
Right.
He'll need a lot more than a few quarters to pay the fine. He was given a ticket for aggravated speeding.
Yeah.
That requires a court appearance and a fine of up to $500
Yeah.
or 10 days in jail. Turns out he was also driving with a suspended license.
Good time.
It's always no. It doesn't say, but I'm going to assume at least he had insurance and a
Hopefully.
registration that was
maybe,
okay.
maybe
Just the suspended
Just-
license.
just the
I've got a-
suspended license. It's just that you're not legally allowed to drive. No big
Right,
deal.
Right, no big deal. So yeah, they're on their way to do laundry. Not that we're going to go pick it up and it's done. We got to get it in the dryer.
Maybe they had somewhere fancy to go and they had nothing to wear.
I know, and the
Not a good
charity ball
excuse.
was starting soon, and so we got
Yeah,
to
you
get
know what?
there.
You know what's quicker than that? Just buying a new set of clothes.
107.
107.
Have you ever been in a car that's going so fast you were scared?
Yes.
Yeah, so have I, and it can be really, really scary.
Yeah.
But not 107. I haven't gone over 100 miles an hour, except in an airplane. But in a
I-
car,
I've-
I've gotten up over to 90 in a car. Someone going 90, and it's like,
Mm-hmm,
please slow down.
So yeah, I've been around 100
Wow.
on a straightaway on the way to Vegas.
Yeah.
Just because there's and like we
'Cause
weren't
it is
doing
straight,
anything, like there was no impairment.
Yeah.
We're just like, well, there's absolutely nobody on the road, and this is a straightaway. Let's see
Let's
if we can
do.
get it to 100 miles an hour.
Wow. Okay.
I think the statute of limitations is over
run
on
out
that
on
because
that?
it was a long time ago. Don't
you-
judge me.
were you-
I was
oh,
not driving.
you're not-
no,
oh, then you're okay.
No,
You're
I
just
was a
in the car.
passenger.
Okay.
I was in the back seat. There was no way for me to influence this
So how about this?
person driving.
This is we gotta do a road trip down to Mohegan Sun. That's the closest Krispy Kreme.
Okay.
I think Krispy Kreme is now making Kit Kat donuts.
Oh no!
Doesn't that sound awesome?
Yeah, it does.
The donut maker said that they're introducing 3 new flavors with the popular candy bar. So you get your 3 choices. The Kit Kat Crunch will be a glazed donut topped with pieces of Kit Kats. That
Okay.
sounds great right there.
That's
the
what
other
I was
one
thinking, yep.
is the Kit Kat Cookie Dream Donut. It will be chocolate filled with cookie dough flavored cream covered in Kit Kat pieces.
Oh my gosh.
And,
Okay.
it's a diabetic nightmare, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Kit Kat salted caramel brownie donut will be sprinkled with Kit Kats and brownie pieces, finished with a nice caramel drizzle.
Brownies are my favorite. So
Oh, there you go. Now, the Krispy Kreme Kit Kat donuts will only be available for a limited time.
of course.
Doesn't it sound great?
Yes.
Oh,
Let's bulk up that demand, right? With scarcity.
That's right.
Scarcity.
It doesn't say what these things cost, but they're available now. So
Yep.
get your Kit Kat donuts. That sounds awesome.
When I lived in Atlanta, and I lived in Midtown Atlanta, like right in Midtown, and on Ponce de Leon Avenue, and I hope it's still there, is like one of the old school Krispy Kreme donut shops where you can look through the window when you go in and you can see them being made. Like they would manufacture them and send them to the grocery stores and stuff. And when they would run them through, and it would go down the conveyor belt, and they'd flip into, the glaze.
The glaze, yeah.
They would turn the light on, and it would say hot.
Yeah.
And so you knew when you drove by, if the light was on, you could get a hot donut
Pull right in.
right out of the, yeah. And so, they were delightful.
All right. I mean, you can.
I haven't had one since I lived in Atlanta, to be
Yeah.
honest. And that was a long time ago.
Okay.
Like,
You can always
long time
say where you live, maybe it's not the greatest, but you don't have this problem, especially around here. There's a pack of wolf dogs terrorizing a
no.
Northern California mountain community called Shingletown. It's at the foot of the Mount Lasan Mountains. Consists of mainly retirees in this area, but residents say the animals have been on the prowl for months looking for the next kill. Most recently, a 3-year-old Australian Pyrenees mix was attacked and killed by 5 of the hybrid canines. The dogs are owned by a local man who leaves for work each weekday morning at 10. Neighbors say that within minutes, the dogs get out and they're on the prowl. So I thought they were wild dogs. They're not. They're
so
owned
they're
by
actually
somebody.
owned by somebody.
The sheriff and animal control officers say they are working on the problem, but residents say this has been happening for a year. Something needs to be done before a person, never mind your animals, before a person gets hurt. So far, a person has not been hurt.
Yeah,
So
this is not a good scene. We had those 2 wolf hybrids here, right?
That's right,
And
yeah.
then they were puppies,
Yeah.
and they were
taken and went to a zoo, right? Somewhere in the
don't know.
Midwest.
I mean, I'm not sure why you would breed a domestic dog with a wolf,
wolf.
purposely and think that that was going to be okay and you're going to be able to have it as a pet. They're a wild animal, and
Yeah.
it's not their fault. They have instincts. They're hungry. Their instinct is to kill.
We're going for food.
Wolves are
going
top
for
predators.
meat.
Top predators,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
You're not going to be able to have them as pets. Like when people want, all I can think of is
Well, maybe it's been
the,
going on for years, so maybe this guy does have special to
maybe.
have these dogs. It's just
Well,
why?
if he didn't, then they would, or maybe there isn't rules around that
Yeah.
in state law.
But they should be
Right, or
if he
local
leaves
law.
if he leaves for work and they're getting out immediately, build a bigger fence or a stronger fence or some. You can't let them be on the prowl
No.
all day while you're at work. So that's bad.
And
there.
then, like, what did he come home when they know
And then
he's
he-
coming back? Probably.
Well, he's home and it's nighttime. The wolf dogs probably know. Oh, it's dinner time, and
Yeah,
he's
he's
going
gonna
to feed
feed-
us.
Sure.
So we come on back. So, okay.
Do you feed them dog food or just
I
throw raw? Like,
I don't
do you
know.
put
Here's
a chicken in there?
I was thinking rabbit, but here you
Okay,
go.
right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
So
yeah,
this,
that's not a good idea.
Seminole, Florida police, pretty easy to spot this driver. That they're probably on something. They're impaired in some way. They're intoxicated because this woman is driving down the road with only 3 tires. Police say multiple people reported a woman recklessly driving a dark gray Nissan Rogue without a passenger side front tire. The sparks that are coming off this road, this is amazing.
I have seen that happen, and
Yeah.
I think we were in Tiverton.
Yeah, a car with no tire
So
going down the road.
Yes, and the person was obviously impaired.
Yeah.
So we went shopping in Warren, and it was like National Ice Cream Day or something like that, and we were trying to find ice cream. All these ice cream places were closed. We found one that was open, and we were sitting there, and I was like, "What's that sound?" And it was like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and I'm like, "What is?" We could hear it all the way. So we see. We're walking back and we see this woman driving a car, and there's like she's driving on a rim.
Yeah, on the steel rim.
And she, pulls into the parking lot, and cop cars pull in, and but she pulls in and then she runs.
Oh, get
and
out of
then-
the car and ran?
Yeah.
Okay.
They caught her. But
Well, this one down in Florida, law enforcement pulled over 49-year-old Ann Keller in Seminole, Florida, and she claims she had no idea about the missing car part. That's how you know you're drunk. That you don't know it's there. Authorities say Keller failed her sobriety test, had a blood alcohol level that was twice the legal limit.
wow. Luckily, she didn't kill someone.
Yes, and luckily she didn't cause an accident to herself.
Yeah.
With this situation. That's pretty bad. All right. Margot Robbie is working on a Monopoly movie. Robbie's company, Lucky Chap, is producing a live-action feature film based on the board game.
Okay.
Hasbro is also on to produce the film. Lionsgate extended its rights to the board game, which, according to the studio, is the world's most popular board game brand with 99% global awareness. The studio announced the movie at CinemaCon, an industry event in Las Vegas. So
Okay.
they make a movie. Someone will play Mr. Goodbags. Isn't that his name?
I don't know.
The bald
With the
guy with
monocle?
all the money. Yeah. He's got a name, and I think it's or Moneybags or something like that.
Yeah.
Someone's
He's a-
got to
you
play him.
know
Mike
that-
Myers can play him. It's Dr. Evil.
and when you have a monocle and a top hat, you're
got money.
filthy rich.
You got a lot of money. You're all set.
Well, except if you're Mr. Peanut, right? But he probably
Well, that's true. All right, that'll do it for the show for today. Thank you very much for listening in. Thanks for Bob Lauder for coming today, and Melissa, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for
right.
having me.
I'm Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone. Stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do your members at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
The Intake Service Center at the